5, and that of 9 others who survived a helicopter crash in Kaba, Kogi State on Saturday. Speaking during a Thanksgiving service in Lokoja on Sunday, Osibanjo said it would have been sad news if he and 9 others died in a crash. He asked God to bless everyone who celebrated the survival across the country. Also in a live telecast from the Redeemed Church in Lagos, the General Overseer of the church, Pastor Enoch Adebayo, thanked God for putting the devil to shame. He asked the congregation to thank God Almighty for sparing the Vice President and prayed that the nation will not mourn. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force had clarified that the helicopter that crashed in Kaba, Kogi State does not belong to it or the Presidential Air Fleet. NAF's Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commando Bikule Daramola, gave the clarification on Sunday in Abuja. The clarification became necessary following a video circulating which shows a crash-landing military helicopter from an unrelated incident. Daramola said while the helicopter conveying the Vice President was not part of the Presidential Air Fleet nor belonged to the 011 PAF, the owners of the helicopter, Kabanton Helicopters, have already issued a statement on the matter. He called on the general public to ignore the misleading video. Investigations into Saturday's crash involving a helicopter that conveyed the Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo to Kaba, Kogi State have commenced. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority made this known on Sunday. Manager of Public Relations Sam Adurigoye made this known. He said the investigation has been conducted by the Accident Investigation Bureau, the statutory agency saddled with the responsibility of investigating such serious accidents. PTV gathered that the Accident Investigation Bureau have already deployed its team of investigators to the crash site to ascertain the remote and immediate cause of the accidents. The Ooni of Ife, Adeyeye Ogunwusi, have expressed gratitude to God for sparing the lives of the Vice President and 9 others who survived Saturday's fatal helicopter crash in Kaba, Kogi State. In a statement signed by the Ooni's Director, Media and Public Affairs, Moses Alafere, on Sunday, the Yoruba monarch rejoiced with the survivors, their families, and the entire nation for Vice President Oshibanjo's survival. He urged politicians not to be shaken by the incident, but should continue with their electioneering campaigns. His Royal Highness used the medium to pray for Nigerians' economic prosperity, security, political stability, and for peaceful coexistence amongst the people. Muslim faithfuls and other Nigerians have been called to uphold political thuggery and violence of any sort during the general elections billed to start in 2 weeks' time. Chief Imam of the Apo Legislative Quarters, Sheikh Nur Khalid, gave the charge in a sermon during the Juma prayer on Friday. He said politics without violence depicts patriotism.
Muslim faithfuls in Apo Legislative Quarters getting ready for Jumat prayer. Made of mostly politicians and youth, the Chief Imam Khalid wants the politicians and youth who are mostly actors of political thuggery to have a rethink.
We are facing the election. It's very close to our goal. We have less than 3 weeks. So therefore, many questions have arisen. Number one, is there going to be a free and fair election? Is there going to be violence-free election? And is INEC capable of doing a good arrangement? Is the police ready? Is everybody ready? That is why we say the politicians should be aware that they are the ones who are moving around doing campaign with thugs. They should stop that, and they should make sure that the election is free and fair.
The Chief Imam has been preaching on peaceful and violent-free elections for the past 6 months, and it seems the cleric will persist until he sees positive results.
More than 15,000 uncollected permanent voters' cards have been destroyed in Abia State by unknown persons. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner Joseph Ilo made this known on Sunday when he disclosed that suspected hoodlums broke into the INEC office and set the PVCs on fire. According to Ilo, the arsonists destroyed the PVCs and a register containing all the names of voters in the area. Ilo also said the INEC headquarters, however, had an authentic list of registered voters at its headquarters at Umuahia. The Abia State Police Command had already launched an investigation into the matter with an assurance that all culprits will be fished out. The Independent National Electoral Commission have concluded training for core members who will work as ad hoc staff during the February 16th and March 2nd elections. The reports.
The training for will-be ad hoc staff for the general elections kicked off on the 28th to 31st of January 2019. In their interaction with PTV, the youth corpers expressed optimism to discharge their duties during the elections.
It has been very interesting, and our coordinators, everybody have been trying for us to lecture us on how the processing, everything goes. And I'm very glad everything has improved more than the last election.
The meaning of a polling unit, and I know that for each polling unit, the minimum number of people, designated voters that are meant to be there are 500 people, and the maximum is 750. So if it exceeds that number, then there will be an extension in that polling unit.
Card reader, I had to attend to the Mark 6 so that there will not be violence during the election time, and we should not tolerate any nonsense, and we should play the rules and regulation of the order that the electoral INEC official give to us.
These core members also had a piece of advice for Nigerians as the elections approach.
Our intention is to make it free and fair, so we all advise every Nigerians to come and vote because the vote counts.
Nigerians should coordinate themselves during the election in order to avoid any chaos, and more so, they should ensure that they help the INEC officials that will be there to do their job effectively.
The polling unit, they should obey everything said by the presiding officers, and they should not cause anything like violence. Everything should go on free and fair as INEC always do their elections.
The INEC supervisor in charge of the training commended the corpers for learning fast and assured them of adequate security during election days.
So far so good. The turnout is very impressive. Like yesterday at this center we trained almost about 842 NYSC members with the NYSC and student class. So the turnout is okay and it's good. They are really trying because the class I just came out of is very impressive. They are picking it.
The INEC supervisor added that the amounts to be paid to the corpers will be decided later by the commission. Poloum, David, PTV News, Abuja.
Barely 14 days to the general elections, the Kaduna State Peace Commission have commenced training of journalists in the state on conflict-sensitive reporting to ensure decency in news reports during the forthcoming general elections. Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Priscilla Ankut, said it was important to refresh the minds of journalists on the need to manage news contests which may trigger violence during the elections. She noted that the state has a history of unaddressed grievances. As such, the media must be careful so as not to trigger another round of conflict through careless reports. Priscilla Ankut says 60% of the people fall within youth brackets and are vulnerable to manipulation by self-serving interests. Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kaduna State Council, Adamu Yusuf, reiterated the commitment of the media to accurate, free and balanced reports before, during and after the elections. A facilitator with Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, Ahmad Hassan, said the best way to avoid reports that may generate conflict is to adhere strictly to the code of ethics of the profession. One person was killed and two injured in Sabama local government area. Suspected thugs attacked an APC rally at the weekend. The thugs, numbering about 15 according to eyewitness accounts, used dangerous weapons to disperse crowds at the event. The situation would have been degenerated further but for the timely intervention of the police. Confirming the incident, spokesman of the Bayelsa Police Command, DCP, Asinim Botwat, said one of the suspected thugs was arrested. Barely 15 days to the general elections, a cross-section of residents in Abuja metropolis have shown readiness to vote, although collections of permanent voters card is still ongoing. The Nigerian electorate wants fellow citizens of the voting age to exercise their franchise come February 16th.
The 2019 general election, according to the Independent National Electoral Commission, will be keenly contested, and some Nigerians seem desperate to witness the close contest. But two things are needed for the polls. First is for citizens to collect their PVCs, and secondly is to go out to vote. Are these in place? These Abuja residents speak.
I'm very, very ready to emphasize my happiness that day, because everybody know that this Nigeria is going out of hand. Many things are happening mysteriously. You sure? So we have to vote wisely for forthcoming election.
With the crowd I'm seeing that place, I don't even think if everybody will get their PVC. You understand? So maybe some people will be prepared, some people will not be prepared. So that is it. By God's grace, it will not be violent. By God's grace. But if everybody will have their PVC, maybe it will help.
Thank God. We thank you people for giving us the opportunity to make our own input to this election. We thank God that the election will come and meet us peacefully. What we just need is peaceful election. So we pray that when peaceful election be conducted, let the winner be emerged. I no talk say make Buhari come or Atiku come, but we are only pray let God give us an elected president that can lead this country. We are tired of these politicians. We don't know the one that can even lead us through.
Elections campaign are ongoing, and whether Nigerians will express passion in the voting exercise, only time will tell. Poloum Bukar, PTV News, Abuja.
The All Progressives Congress rally happening around Benue State has come under attack from suspected arms militia in Bajimba, the headquarters of Guma local government area of the state, which is the home of sitting Governor Samuel Ortom. Benue State correspondent Akumati tells us more. Now moving on, hundreds of cancer awareness ambassadors, including survivors, thronged major streets in the Federal Capital Territory on Saturday, sensitizing the public on the need for regular health check and early detection and treatment of cancer. Masfila Junimo witnessed advocacy.
The World Cancer Day comes with a prelude such as this. And to make the advocacy even better, success stories forms the order of the day as cancer survivors join in the advocacy.
Well, what we are trying to ask Nigerian government to do is to create cancer centers, and like the HMOs, the sugar and cover cancer, it will go a long way because most of the patients can't afford the treatment, which makes it difficult to even raise money. So if the government can make cancer a priority in their health dealings, it will help a lot of cancer patients survive, because some people are detected early, but because of there's no money, they die and there's no treatment. It takes their life. But if you find out those that get it early and they start treatment, with the little money they have, they go a long way.
The organizers say it's a project worth doing, considering the poor attention given to the disease, which they say is a leading cause of deaths.
What we are saying today is, cancer is not really a death sentence as so many people think it is. So many people survive cancer, and the most important thing we're doing today is to create awareness, to engage the people, for them to take proactive steps about their health. Because when people take proactive steps about their health, they can actually detect cancer early. Because the greatest challenge we have today is late detection of cancer. Cancer is detected at a very late stage. And for that reason, most people die of cancer in this country. And the only way we can get this is to engage people enough, engage the government as well, to provide facilities, to provide especially treatment facilities.
Other participants at the advocacy are of the view that early detection and awareness is key to fighting the deadly disease.
Make sure you sign.
Honestly, I believe that government can help in creating the awareness among men. They can do through jingles, through text messages, through their phones, through social media, and let men know the importance of, having to procure these tests so that they know their status at any point in time.
The thing is the medication, the diet, exercise, and faith in God, but it is very, very expensive for the sufferers and the survivors. And people who can afford it should, should think in a way to assist the sufferers and the survivors.
Government needs to get more involved in the fight against cancer. At least maybe they should fight against cancer and awareness. They should try as much as possible, maybe to give free medical treatment or medical treatment and drugs in the hospitals. And please, they should try as much as possible to include it in NHIS, because I think cancer is not included in the NHIS is it product or what? And a lot of people they can't afford to buy drugs for cancer or for the treatment because this one is very expensive.
Other stakeholders urge Nigerians to lend a helping hand to those battling with cancer.
When it comes to charitable events, causes, where it impacts the community positively, creates awareness to help the community at large, we are always there. You can always count on the miking community in Abuja specifically to be seriously active and support. We do our widow's might financially, making noise, coming out with our bikes, with our uniforms, our jackets, you can see what I'm wearing now, flashy helmets, just to be attractive. They get interested. They'll ask, what is this? Why are you here? And then we'll not talk about the cause we are trying to support and push, and that's how we've been doing it for years.
Cancer awareness advocacy is one of the core essence of the World Cancer Day, commemorated 4th February every year. Merciful Ajinomo, PTV News, Abuja.
Following from the lingering controversies surrounding the allegation of child cultists and murdered police sergeants Monday Higi, the Nigerian Police Force Edo State Command has cleared the air, having claimed of recording major breakthrough and some suspected cult gang who were linked to the untimely death of the police sergeant in Benin City. The Commissioner of Police, Hakim Odomosu, who spoke to newsmen on development, says over 50 persons were arrested in connection with cult-related issues. Peter Viscus-Leeson had more details.
In recent weeks, there have been heightened clashes in Edo State, and this has left several lives and police sergeants dead. Residents have become increasingly concerned about their security plight, with controversies surrounding the death of a police officer.
So many cultists have been arrested. In the total breakdown here now, so of the cultists, so about 5-4 fights that took place at Namayo Street. These are the Upper Sakoba Road, Benin City, where a police sergeant, Monday Ehigi, attacked the executive chairman of Ikoba Oka local government, area of Edo State, was shot by the cultists. So though he gallantly killed 2 of them before giving up the ghost. I think I need to say something on this. There have been trending things on that the CP declared him a cultist. So he was alleged to be a cultist. I always told them that if it's a cultist, it was to be a cultist now. Investigation has just started. It's at the end of investigation that will be declared. I don't even know if police to declare. Everybody has committed offense before the law, at the police station level is still a suspect. But the insinuation in the public that maybe he was declared that so that he will not have his entitlement far away from that. All his entitlement the police will be because he died in the course of action. He fought gallantly. Unfortunately, he lost his life. And I had a discussion with the dad today, and that the police will fully participate in his burial and give a victim burial. So now that the CB declared him this, but that was the allegation from that area that he fought on this. But we are investigating. We are arrested. So immediately that thing happened now, we went to action. So out of the people arrested, 5 have been confirmed to be members of that actually carried out that murder. We are not charging them alone for the cultism now for murder.
The suspected members of the cult gang made confessional statements.
This man, if you are being in Uzeba community, if you say if like go and ask of me in Uzeba, nobody will say about them. We only tell you a fight. But this man, I want you to understand the point. This man that laid this allegation against me, one of his sons, is an Eye man. He find me to my home with your friend.
Which court
to come and harm me. I'm a Vicky. I did not deny him. But this allegation that this man take I come to him and come and rob him is a lie to my head. I will not deny that one.
How much did you collect that night, and who you collect the money from? 80,003 phone.
Okay,
How much you collected?
That night when we find the boy to his home, the father, that is when we find the boy to his home, we now collect 3 half from the father.
And how much?
And how much? With 80,000 naira. Yes.
It was on my auntie's store. I knew that so I was just Saturday. My auntie had to come to our store with something to collect the money for the house. So when I got there on Sunday, I left the house by 10 o'clock. I got there on Sunday. So I was inside our store lying down when I saw something snake came into the store.
What did they tell you?
So I know that's what I did. See, smart guy after I left.
The police have also recorded some achievements in fighting crimes, which is a clear signal of its readiness to restore peace amongst residents.
The Minister of Education at Adamu says the federal government has released a sum of 16.8 billion naira to settle outstanding salary arrears of staff in tertiary institutions across the country. Adamu disclosed this at a press briefing in Abuja. He said all issues between the federal government and tertiary institutions in the country have been resolved, adding that ASU and ASU were now expected to call off their strike in the coming days. Some of the areas where agreements have been reached include review of Polytechnic Acts, revitalization of the Polytechnic and Colleges of Education, and renegotiation of the 2010 agreements. Adamu also said the Minister of Finance have been directed to source for additional funding of 30 billion naira for the revitalization of facilities in public tertiary institutions. You're watching PTV tonight. You can download our app PTV Nigeria in Google Play Store for Android or App Store for iOS. Keep up with us live on our website www.ptvng.com/live. You can also follow our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. We'll go on a short break now. More stories will return. Do stay. Welcome back, and I'm moving on straight to foreign stories, starting off from Israel. A giant billboard of a smiling Donald Trump shaking hands with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu loomed over a main entrance to Tel Aviv on Sunday, part of the Israeli leader's re-election campaign. Trump is popular in Israel because of his tough policies towards the Palestinians and Iran, and his transfer last May of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which recognizes Israel's capital in a break from long-standing U.S. policy. A spokesman for Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party, whose logos adorns the sign over Tel Aviv's busy Ayalon highway, did not immediately respond to a Reuters query on whether the White House had authorized it to use the photograph. Netanyahu is favored to win the election, but opinion polls show one of his toughest challenges, former General Benny Gantz, making gains. Syrian state media, the military source, said U.S.-led jets attacked the Syrian army position near the battlefront against the last Islamic State pocket east of the Euphrates late on Saturday, causing damage and injuries. The attack injured 2 soldiers and destroyed an artillery piece, a source added. The U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State could not be immediately reached for comment. It had previously denied striking Syrian military targets in that area. Islamic States now hold only a couple of villages in Syria, having lost almost all its territory in 2017 to 2 rival offensives, one by the U.S.-led coalition with local fighters and one by the Syrian army and allied militia backed by Russia. The jihadist group also holds an enclave of deserts surrounded by the Syrian army in the center of the country. Representatives from both sides in the Yemen conflict met on a ship on the Red Sea on Sunday, and a UN-led push to implement a stalled troop withdrawal from Yemen's main port of Hodeidah has agreed at December peace talks, a UN official told newsmen. The United Nations have overseen the implementation of a ceasefire and troop withdrawal, according to the data, the main entry point for most of Yemen's inputs, in hope it will lead to a political solution to the almost 4-year war. The warring parties were meant to withdraw their forces by January 7th as part of efforts to avert a full-scale assault on Hodeidah, but have failed to do so as the Iranian-aligned Houthi group and the Saudi-backed government disagree on who should control the city and ports. Sunday's meeting was the third time the UN-led Deployment Coordination Committee convened since it was formed in December, bringing together the Houthis with Saudi-backed internationally recognized Yemeni governments and UN mediators. 7 passengers were killed and several injured when Delhi-bound train derailed in India's western states of Bihar on Sunday, railway officials said. 7 and 11 coaches of the Samatcal Express left the rails near Sahada Bohor railway station, about 50 kilometers from the state's capital, Patna, early in the morning, the railways ministry said in a statement. It marked a bad start to the year for India's troubled railways. 60 people were killed last year when a commuter train traveling at a high speed ran through a crowd of people on rail tracks in northern India. India's state railways, largely built during colonial rule, have an appalling safety record after decades of underinvestment in rail safety infrastructure, with the priority on keeping fares low for 23 million passengers who use the network daily. Pope Francis, who will travel to United Arab Emirates on Sunday, said he is following the humanitarian crisis in Yemen with great worry and urged all sides to respect international agreements and ensure food reaches those suffering in Yemen. The Pope told tens of thousands of people in St. Peter's Square during his regular Sunday address that the population is exhausted by the long conflicts and many children are suffering from hunger, but they are not able to get food deposits. The cry of these children and their parents rises up to God. He said in a quote, "I appeal to all sides involved into the international community to urgently press for respect of the agreements that have been reached to guarantee the distribution of food and work for the good of the population." Pope Francis added there are children who are hungry, they are thirsty, and they don't have medicine. The UAE have played a leading role in the Saudi-led military coalition, waging a nearly 4-year war against the Iran-aligned Houthi movements in Yemen, in a conflict which has pushed the poorest country on the peninsula to the brink of famine. Francis will become the first pontiff who set foot on the Arabian Peninsula and is due to make 2 public addresses. It will be irresponsible for the European Union to refuse to reopen negotiations over Britain's exit deal, British Trade Minister Liam Fox said in an interview aired on Sunday. British Prime Minister Theresa May has said she is seeking changes to the withdrawal agreement she agreed with Brussels last year in order to win the support of Parliament. The EU has said the deal cannot be renegotiated. Fox told newsmen in a pre-recorded interview, "Are they really saying that they would rather not negotiate and end up in a no-deal position? It is in all our agreements and interest to get the agreement, and for the EU to say we are not going to even discuss, it seems to me that is quite irresponsible." With less than 2 months with Britain is due to leave the European Union on March 29th, the opposition Labour Party has said it is now inevitable that the government will have to request an extension to the Article 50 exit negotiation period. Fox, who had previously spoken out strongly against delaying the exit date, said extending negotiations without a deal in place will not solve anything, but it was a very different argument if Britain just needed more time to get its necessary legislation in place for a smooth exit. Still in the UK, it is possible to use exiting technology to solve the issue of post-Brexit arrangements for the border between the United Kingdom and Ireland, British Interior Minister Sajid Javid said on Sunday. On Tuesday, lawmakers instructed the government to go back to the EU to find an alternative to the so-called backstop and insurance policy to retain an open UK-Ireland border if Britain and the UK fail to reach a long-standing trade agreement. Javid told newsmen that it can be done. You have no hard border on the island of Ireland and you can use existing technology. It is perfectly possible. The only thing that is missing is a bit of goodwill on the EU side. Javid said the EU had made clear it would help create alternative arrangements to avoid a hard border on Ireland if Britain ends up leaving the bloc without a deal. And moving on to the world of sports, Celtic moved 6 points clear in the Scottish Premiership as goals in the final 12 minutes of James Forrest and Timothy Weir floored St Johnstone. The visitors were thwarted by a series of Xander Clark saves before Forrest finally jabbed in Timothy Weir's cross. Weir scored Celtic's second on the break before the visitors' Chris Ofori-Agyei was sent off in final minutes. The fifth straight win may have come at a cost with Michael Lustig, Odyssey Adwag and Forrest all injured. St. Johnstone's third consecutive defeat after a run of 10 wins in 14 games leaves Tommy Rightside sixth in the table, 5 points adrift of Hearts. Aston Villa's Throng Mix says no one feels worse than me in a quote after a challenge with Nelson Oliveira left the leading striker with a nasty facial injury. Defender Mix, who's 25, appeared to stand on Oliveira's face at the jostled for possession during Saturday's goalless draw at the Madejski Stadium. The Portugal international, who's 27, was treated on the pitch before being taken to hospital as a precaution. Minks, who was making his Villa debut after joining on loan from Bournemouth on deadline day, immediately drew referee Gove attention to the incident with the official not withdrawing and awarding a free kick ticket against the former Ipswich defender. And football, an underwater search for the missing plane carrying footballer Emiliano Sala and his pilot is underway. Cardiff City's new signing disappeared with pilot David Oberston after the English Channel on 21st January. The Accident Investigation Branch said the Joe Ocean 3 vessel arrived on Sunday morning to the search area. Together with a privately funded vessel, it is conducting sonar surveys off Guernsey. The AAIB said its search was expected to last 3 days, while the private search will continue until the plane is located. You're still watching Peter V Weekend Review. It's time for another break. More stories on return. Do stay. The House of Representatives on Tuesday defied the Council of State and recommended a flat rate of 30,000 naira as a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers. The House made a recommendation after an accelerated public hearing conducted to examine the 27,000 naira approved by the National Council of States and transmitted via letter to the National Assembly. Emmanuel Ahijire completes this report.
The House, in keeping with a promise made to Nigerian workers, gave accelerated hearing to the new minimum wage bill after it reconvened to append its stamp on a minimum wage of 30,000 naira. The Deputy Speaker, who chaired the ad hoc committee on the review of the minimum wage bill, explained the modalities for reaching his decision.
Moving the minimum wage from 18,000 to 27,000 that was recommended in the bill. In short, yesterday we had a public hearing which was held live. And it was there then that we realized that the tripartite committee that was set up by Mr. President actually did recommend 30,000 as the minimum wage. It was a public hearing that was well attended. From the side of the executive, we had the Minister of Labour and Employment, the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Budget and National Planning was ably represented by the Director General in that ministry.
The bill afterwards went through clause-by-clause consideration as the Speaker read out the resolutions.
We heard from the Chairman of the ad hoc committee that the superintendent over the public hearing of yesterday on the bill. And so we will proceed to consider the recommendation of the ad hoc committee. Thereafter, we'll take on the provision of the bill. Aye. Carried. Carried. Clause 2, carried. 3, 4.
The issue arose, however, on a possible take-up date on its implementation.
I think we should have a date specific for commencement. Because if you say you leave it 6 months after assent, this bill can take effect next year. And that's not what we want. So which defeats the purpose. So I think there should be a date specific, whether September, whatever date we agree. And that would also put pressure for the presidency to assent to the bill, rather than leave it open wide.
The issue raised by the leader that we have to also be worried that this is not perhaps maybe part of the budget. But I think it has come at a good time now that we're considering this bill. And we're also in the process of considering also the 2019 budget. I don't see anything harm since that the 2019 budget has not been considered and has also not been passed by this House, to see how we can include this the provision and make the provision of the 30,000 minimum wage.
This bill to include that the bill will become effective, that is the commencement date, will be from the date it is assented to. I so move.
It was unanimously agreed that its implementation becomes effective from the date it is assented to by the President. The motion for the adoption of the bill was unanimously adopted when put to vote by the Speaker Yakubu Dogara plenary as the House moved to adjourn plenary till the 19th of February 2019. Emmanuel Ejine, PTV News, Abuja.
And that's all on the week in review. Many thanks for watching. I am Poloum David. Good night.